Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Frenemies. Tonight is a special night. David's been waiting for this one this whole entire time we've been doing previews. He's been very patient as we've done many teams before we finally have got to the New York Yankees, David. And we are finally here tonight to talk about your team, buddy. So I know this one's going to be exciting for you. You've been waiting for this one for a long time. Looks like you're coming from the blimp at Yankee Stadium tonight, which is really cool.
DJ, I'm trying to figure out why I have to look at Pedro Martinez's ugly face while I talk about the Yankees for 45 minutes. Why would you do that to me? AJ Brzezinski's making a comeback. You just be ready for that. AJ Brzezinski's going to be my background the rest of these podcasts. From here on out, you've had it. A-Rod and Pedro Martinez in back-to-back weeks. Terrible.
I can't help it, man. I mean, I know how much you just love Pedro, so I figured I'd, spice it up tonight and just give you something nice to look at the whole entire time besides my ugly face. So
I hear you. Hey, just so everybody knows, in our fantasy draft last night, I made sure and got David Bodie for DJ. So
yes,
if he goes off, I got him. But he'll be one of the first guys that gets cut. Don't worry.
Well, we need to redo the Cubs one because Nico Horner was somehow winning that job for a while there, and then Ross got his head on straight and realized, oh, David Bodie really can play and he can really hit, and now he's the second baseman by nobody's even close now. I mean, Eric Sogard's the utility guy, so I mean that was the only thing I was really mad about. So now the Cubs are ready to go win that division, baby.
Yeah, Bodie, he's a division-winning shortstop for sure.
All right, David. So let's kick it off, my man, and talk about the 2020 New York Yankees. What was your thoughts of your team last season?
What a crazy, mind-boggling season, DJ. So they ended up second in the division, 33-27, but so streaky. And there was a good reason behind that. So they started out the season 16-6, then the next 20 games, they go 5-15. The next 10 games, they go 10-0. And then they end the season 2-6. And that had 100% to do with one thing, DJ. Can you guess what it is?
Pitching.
Injuries.
Yeah, that's the big
Yankees could not stay healthy, man. At one point in the season, here's the list of the Yankees had a streaky season, and it had to do with nothing more than tons of injuries. Once again, DJ, this team is cursed. At one point in the season last year, Judge, Stanton, LeMahieu, Britton, Tommy Kahnle, Gleyber Torres, James Paxton, all on the DL at the same time. And so, honestly, I don't even know how they survived part of this time. It was just a crazy season. Huge season from DJ LeMahieu. Once again, hit 364. Last year, MVP candidate. Thankfully, the Yankees were able to sign him once again. He's the anchor of this offense. Pretty cool. Luke Voit led the league in home runs with 22. Problem was we got right to the end in the playoffs, and guess who got injured? Our boy Luke Voit. So, and we're going to talk about it later, but we're going to start the season without him as well. He had torn meniscus, and so he's out until June. Garrett Cole was the man, 7-3, 284, and thank goodness because Yankees starting pitching was pretty rough outside of he and J-Hap. J-Hap had a good year. They were sixth in the league in average, second in the league in homers, eighth in the league in ERA, and I just got to bust real hard on my least favorite Yankee right here, DJ. We went 49 games of our catcher hitting 147. And it was a really bad 147, like no contact 147. He did hit 10 home runs and 24 RBIs, but to top it all off, he's one of the worst defensive catchers in the league, and it drives me insane. As a pitcher, it's hard to throw to someone who can't catch the ball. And led the league in pass balls again. I'm ready for the Gary Sanchez experiment to be over. Hopefully, because I said that, he'll go out and hit about 35 homers and prove me wrong, but we'll see. But crazy season. They got obviously in the playoffs, beat the Indians 2-0, which was pretty wild. And then lost to our nemesis, the Rays, on a Brusso home run, which I'll have to admit, I'm not gonna say I definitely wasn't happy about it, but Aroldis Chapman deserved that one. So I hate to admit that, but in the back of my mind, it was like, yeah, you had that coming. So good season, not where we want to be, obviously, but super interesting offseason. Going to be a crazy year this year for the Yankees.
The Yankees, David, have won the World Series 5 times in your lifetime: 96, 98, 99, 2000, and 2009. 27 times world champions. I'd read them all off, but it would take another hour for me to finish that. So let's just say they won it a ton in the 30s and 40s. So these guys, like you said, they had a good season. Won over that great game against Bieber in the wild card was awesome. Garrett Cole taking him down. Yankees were 9-1 versus the Red Sox last year, David. That's crazy. Your obvious nemesis, your arch rival, going 9-1 against him had to feel really good. 7-3 versus the Orioles, so you dominated those two teams. But those Rays got you, man. You guys were 2-8 versus them and lost 3-2 in the playoffs. So that was your nemesis last year. Unfortunately, the season came to end at their hands. 4-11 overall against the Rays, so that was tough. 22-9 at home and 11-18 on the road, David. So they played really well at home and did not play good at all on the road. Brett Gardner was a bum hitting 223 with 5 bombs and 15 ribbies. He's a Hall of Famer, right, David?
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, I just thought that DJ LeMahieu was awesome because his name's DJ. That's the only reason why, of course. So I don't know, man. These guys had a really good season. When you go to the Final Four, you can't dog them too bad. It's a great season there, man. I think that they just came up a little short, and some guy I never heard of hit a home run to win the game off of Chapman. And man, I don't know. I love Aroldis Chapman for everything he did for Cubs in 16, but it just seems like he's starting to fall off a little bit, David. And I don't know how confident you are in him anymore, but I did hear he's developing a slider a little bit more now because he can't blow it by everybody as easy. So maybe he's going to work a little bit harder. I was really high on Britton taking over maybe. It's interesting in that bullpen what they'll do there, and we'll get into that a little bit, obviously. But tough ending to a team that obviously had all the talent in the world and could have won the World Series. So David, I'll transition out to the additions that they made on the team, and I'll go through this list. You can talk about these guys a little bit more. Jameson Taillon. This is going to be the guy that I'm going to go with for the guy that I think is the big pickup for them. I really am a big Taillon fan. I always have been. When in the Pirates from 2016 to 2019, second overall pick in 2010, 29-24 career ERA with a 3.67 ERA, 419 Ks and 466 innings pitched. He's got good stuff. He's coming off an injury, obviously, Tommy John, which it's okay. Everybody goes through it. He'll get through it as well. I think he's got the stuff to be the number 2 if he's completely healthy. This guy's good, man. So I thought it was a great pickup for them. I'm going to go with him. Corey Kluber from the Rangers, Justin Wilson from the Mets, Darren O'Day from the Braves, Robinson Trinos from the Mets, Derek Dietrich from the Rangers, Greg Allen from the Padres, Jay Bruce from the Phillies, Andrew Velasquez from the Orioles, Ulysses Chassin from the Braves, Asher Wojciechowski, or whatever his name is, from the Orioles, and Kyle Bearclaw from the Padres. So, David, what did you think of the additions this year?
And this is boom or bust. Is what this is all about. So, Tanaka, Happ, and Paxton are gone, and they're replacing those with Kluber, Taillon, and Domingo Germán is back. We'll see. That's all I can say is we'll see. I would love to see. Kluber and Taillon and Germán stay healthy and on the field. But so far, the last few years, that hasn't been the case. So, honestly, DJ, this has me pretty worried. I really wanted to see the Yankees get some legitimate innings eater type guys. Jake Odorizzi was a guy that I had in mind, just somebody that could come in there and get innings. But like I said, they went with some high-end talent. It's just going to depend on whether it can all stay healthy.
Yeah, that's so true, man. That's a very key to the thing to this you're talking about. They brought in a lot of guys who are injury prone. Some say Kluber's on his way down. We'll see. He may have new motivation playing for the Yankees now. It tends to happen that way sometimes where somebody some of these guys go to the Yankees and they kind of resurrect their careers a little bit out of nowhere. So the key losses, David. Eric Kratz is a free agent. Jordy Mercer to the Nationals. I got J.A. Happ. Want to talk to him about him just real quick. He's with the Twins now. St. Bede High School, who in 2015, my high school that I coach at, Westmont, lost to them in the Elite Eight to go to state. I wish I could say it was because Jay was on the mound, but he wasn't. He wasn't even there. Obviously, that was a long time ago that he was at that school. But another stud Illinois player in the show. The biggest loss, I believe, for the Yankees. He had a good 2020 with a 3.47 ERA, and he's 123 and 92 in his career. But he is 38 years old, so I kind of get it. But I think he's going to play a big part in the Twins rotation, at least for this year, and then he may fall off for sure after that. But so I think that was their biggest loss. Tanaka went back to Japan. James Paxton to the Mariners. Jonathan Holder to the Cubs. Adam Ottavino to the Red Sox. Luis Avilan to the Nats. Ben Heller to the Diamondbacks, and Tommy Conley went to the Dodgers. So what did you think of that, David?
I think they're really going to miss Tanaka. Tanaka's not only been he's not been the ace that they thought they were getting, but he's been a solid 2 or 3 his whole career, even last year. And up until last year, he's been awesome in the playoffs too. So I think the Yankees are going to really miss Tanaka. Happ had a great season. He was pitching with a little bit of attitude, I think, which I wish he would have done from the beginning of his first year there. It was, I think, in the area around 5. But he thought the Yankees were shorting him some money last year, and so he finally turned it on. But they're definitely going to miss both of those guys. And like I said, maybe they won't miss them if Kluber and Taillon are as good as they can be.
It's amazing how it changes things when you get into the wallets of these baseball players, doesn't it? We see it all the time with guys on their free agent years. All of a sudden, boom, they're hitting like crazy. They get the money. They go back down a little bit. It's kind of weird how that happens. You wish it wasn't like that. That's just kind of how they are. They're motivated by money, man, no doubt about it. And he was definitely one of them that was going through that a lot. And I remember you talking about that a lot last year with the Yankees. So makes sense. And I don't know if he'll get what he wants in Minnesota there, but it'll be interesting to see how he fits in there with another division leading team in the Twins. So he goes from one division winner to another. So good on him for that. And I wish him nothing but luck. So go over this lineup for us, David. The 2021 New York Yankees batting order. What do you got, bud?
The leading off will be DJ LeMahieu again, one of the best hitters in the game. Hit 364 last year, 10 homers, 27 RBIs. Aaron Judge will be batting second, 257, 9 homers, and 22 RBIs last year. Let's just hope he can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, he's good for 40 bombs. But it's a struggle. Aaron Hicks, now this is kind of weird because the Yankees bat him third. And DJ, I wanted to kind of get your thoughts of this as a manager. This frustrates the heck out of me. Me and my dad talk about this all the time. Hit 225 last year, 6 homers and 21 RBIs. And the thought that I've heard about this is, number one, he's going to hit in front of Stanton, so he's going to get pitched to. And number two, he's a switch hitter. So I just hate it. I never understood hitting him third, but that's where Boone always hits him. What do you think about it?
I don't get it. I agree with you 100%. As a matter of fact, I was going to ask you what in the world he was doing in the 3 spot because I simply have no idea. To me, in this lineup, I'm putting Glaber and DJ at the top, and I'm rolling Aaron Judge and Giancarlo and Luke Voit in the middle of that lineup all day long. Yeah. I am putting Glaber up top, no doubt. He's not batting 6 for me. He's batting first or second. LeMahieu's batting first or second. I roll with the 3 big guns in the middle of that order. And then I'm going to probably put Frazier up there and Sanchez and Gio Urshela. I mean, Aaron Hicks is batting 9th for me in this lineup, David. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I don't understand it. I have no clue. And it's funny that you brought that up because I had a note here that Aaron Hicks is batting 3rd for the New York Yankees.
That's been for 3 years. Now, 3 years ago when the Yankees signed that contract, they signed him to a real team-friendly extension, which was cool. He did hit like about 30 homers. But still, in this lineup, I don't know how he hits 3, but Stanton's going to hit 4 as long as he stays healthy. Last year, I think he only played in 23 games. So, again, that's a struggle. We saw what he could do in the playoffs, though. When he hits, he mashes. But 250 last year, 4 homers, 11 RBIs. I think Gleyber Torres is going to hit 5th. He had a really rough year last year. Timing was just off all year. 243, 3 homers, 16 RBIs. I think Frazier is going to hit sixth, 267, 8 homers, 26 RBIs. And now, because of an injury to Voit, Jay Bruce, I believe, is going to be hitting seventh, 198, 6 homers, 14 RBIs. And Urshela, I think, will be hitting eighth, 298, 6 homers and 30 RBIs. And Sanchez or Kyle Higgy-Shioka will be hitting 140. He hit 147 last year, 10 homers, 24 RBIs. So if Sanchez can get it turned around at all, man, this is such a dangerous lineup. But if he's like he was last year, and I out, man, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, David, I'm really glad that you gave the lineup without Voit in there. Obviously, if Voigt's in there, he's batting fifth, I believe. But you gave us a good little perspective because he's going to be out until about June. So Yankees are going to roll about the first 2 months without him. So it'll be interesting. I was going to ask you exactly what you thought as far as how it works out without him in this lineup for a few months. When he gets back in there, he'll provide a lot of pop there. And it's crazy, man. Jay Bruce, of all people. Last year, we were like we were like, oh, he's still in the league. And now he's found himself batting fifth for the Yankees out of nowhere, basically. And he had a good year last year, too, if I'm not mistaken. And so just kind of crazy how that all worked out. And he's actually in the middle of the lineup for New York Yankees. All right, David. Yeah, so now let's transition to the pitching rotation and tell me what they got coming in to the 2021 season on the mound.
Cole obviously is going to be the number one starter, 7-3 last year, 284. I believe Corey Kluber is going to be second in line there. Obviously, last year he pitched 1 inning or 2/3 of an inning, I think. So not much to go off of there. He's looked pretty good in the spring, though. Jordan Montgomery, I'm telling you, watch out for Jordan Montgomery. I think Jordan Montgomery's the real deal. You had a great rookie season, and then he had Tommy John. So keep an eye on Jordan Montgomery. He was just 2-3 with a 5.11 last year coming off Tommy John surgery, but looked really good in the spring. And another guy to keep an eye on here is Domingo Germán, 17-game winner 2 years ago. Obviously got in trouble for domestic violence, missed the entire season last year. Not a very well-liked guy on the team. You know, Zach Britton didn't have much good to say about him. He actually made the statement, you don't get to choose your teammates. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Pretty big head case, to be honest with you. But he has looked awesome in spring training. I mean, awesome. So we'll see. Jameson Taillon is going to, I think, be the number 5 starter. They've already said that they're going to skip some starts in the beginning of the season when they have a few extra days off, try to build him up. And this is what I think is going to be the problem all across the league, DJ. All these pitchers are going to have to be built up. And, man, I think the bullpen is going to stay really taxed. And the Yankees have already lost Britton for several months. They've Justin Wilson, who they signed in the offseason, they've already lost him for a little while. And so, man, this bullpen, to me, went from looking like a pretty good strength to I don't know about it, man. Chapman obviously is closing. I don't think Chapman's lost a step. I don't think he was ever completely right last year due to COVID, to be honest with you. And even then, he had a 3.09 ERA, so it's kind of hard to argue with that. But then you got Green after that, and I like Chad Green, but he's really inconsistent. He goes through points in the season where he gets shelled. He's a fastball-only pitcher, which is kind of crazy. Luis Cessa, he's good for multiple innings. Nick Nelson, good for multiple innings. I was so glad they signed Darren O'Day. I think that's going to be a big signing for them. He's pretty locked down on righties when he can stay healthy. So that bullpen, like I said, at one point it was rated the second best by Fangraphs. And I think now it's looking a little more iffy, but we'll see. I don't think the starters are going to give them a bunch of innings, so I think the bullpen's going to have to play a big role here.
Yeah, that's a good point. When you kind of look at this, you don't see guys who are going to go very, very deep into the game there, except for Cole, obviously. And Germán, obviously, I think he can do it as well. Those other 3 are yet to be determined, and if they can stay in the game very long. I don't see Kluber and Taillon, especially early, going very far into the game. So it'll be interesting to see, no doubt, how these two bounce back. I've seen Taillon penciled in some places as a 2 starter, so I don't know about that. You know, obviously, you made a good point, though, saying that he's got to build himself up. So if you got a guy building up, he's not going to be your 2 pitcher. Yeah, that's for sure. So that makes a lot of sense from that standpoint, that he needs to get himself ready to go here and ready to throw as many innings as he can for the Yankees in 2021. So, I mean, I like the bullpen too. I think, like you said, you know, they got they got a lot of arms down there. With the injuries, they look a lot weaker. No doubt about it. Zach Britton is an absolute stud. Had an awesome year last year too. So when they're all healthy, which is, what, let's just be honest though, David, they're going to be a playoff team without a doubt. So as long as everybody can get back and on board by August, September, then they'll be absolutely fine. They've kind of been decimated right now with injuries for the most part early here more than any other team. But they're going to come back just fine, I think. So. So, David, what are the team strengths of the Yankees this year?
So it's got to be the lineup, right? I mean, the Yankees, I named off all the injuries they had last year, and they still managed to hit 6th in the league and average 2nd in home runs, and that's with a ton of their guys, on the DL. So if this lineup stays healthy, now I think we're going to get a full season of Frazier, which Yankee fans have been after for a while. I mean, I like Brett Gardner personally, but he's a real streaky hitter. He's not into the home runs either, but he plays awesome defense. He runs the bases well, and he's a gamer. I'm surprised you don't love Brett Gardner, DJ. I just can't believe it. But, man, Gleyber Torres, I think he's going to be back to what he was. Obviously, losing Voit hurts. Urshela is super underrated, 300 hitter, good for about 20 homers a year. So I think it's got to be the lineup.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And if you can get Judge and Stanton healthy that whole time, you're making a huge difference in that lineup, and that's the key, I think, is health. Voigt's already been down here for the first couple months, so if they continue to get decimated, they'll be in trouble. But if they can stay healthy and be full strength in September and October, they'll be just fine. So what do you got for weaknesses, David?
I'm pretty worried about the starting rotation, DJ. I'm sorry. It might end up being a strength. I'm just to be honest, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid on this one. I think they really setting themselves up for a problem. Now, that being said, you got Davy Garcia waiting in the wings. They decided to send him down for a little bit. That could be big. You got Mike King that could possibly be in there. Clark Schmidt eventually could be in there, one of their top prospects.
Yeah.
But I don't know about this rotation, so I'm going to say the rotation.
I'm going to agree with you, but I like what you just said there. Clark Schmidt's a stud. It was a weird year for him last year coming up. I was handled a little crazy there, but we don't know entirely the whole situation of what happened there, but there were some situations he was put in that were kind of crazy. But no doubt about it, he's a stud, and he is a future starter for this team, I believe. So yeah, you didn't make me feel as bad when you mentioned those 3 guys. I think that's a good thing that they have those guys. In case this is not working out with one of these 5 guys. And it's an interesting situation with Domingo, man. It really is. Like that'd be a hard thing to take a teammate back like that. To put yourself in Zach Britton's shoes. I mean, nobody's gonna look favorably upon a guy who does that to somebody. It's just a very evil thing. So.
And to be honest with you, the initial thing was bad enough, but I don't know if you've kept up with us at all, DJ. He's been a complete diva on Instagram as well, on social media, I should say. I'm not sure if it's Instagram or not, but just saying crazy stuff. I mean, honestly, I just wonder if he's even all there. I mean, I'm just being honest about it. He goes on these benders where he's, I don't want to play anymore or whatever. I'm not coming back, and I think they're all just done with him. But man, he's looked super sharp in spring. So, and they need him. I mean, they need him bad. So
yeah,
we'll see what becomes of it. But Zach Britton has made it well known he is not a fan.
Man, what an interesting situation, especially in New York. Like he could probably hide if he was playing in Seattle or something and get away with it a little bit more. But those Yankee fans, man, it'll be very interesting to see, especially if he struggles.
Oh, it's going to be awful. It's definitely going to be one of them deals. If he starts struggling, they'll be ushering him out of town one way or the other. Because we've seen this happen plenty of times, right?
Yep.
You look at Jack McDowell, Kenny Rogers, all these guys who, both those guys I just named were great pitchers, but they just could not handle. Randy Johnson, honestly, couldn't handle the pressure. We know how awesome he was. And so I think Herman is unstable a little bit. So this could go bad real fast.
Well, keep your eyes on that, Yankees fans. That's gonna be an interesting one. So, what do you got for position battles, David?
So, this is going to sound whatever. They don't really have any. I mean, honest to God, they don't really have any. I mean, I guess you could say the last man in the bullpen might be up. I think it's kind of settled, to be honest with you. That they got that guy. I can't think of his first name. His last name is Lutke. He's looked awesome, and they need a lefty right now in the pen. So honestly, I think it's all settled. The Yankees basically brought back their entire team outside of about 3 or 4 players, and those guys that they signed to replace the 3 or 4 players, they got spots. The other thing you could say is, they got to find a place for David Garcia eventually, you would think. He looked pretty good last year. So maybe in that 5th or 6th spot in that rotation, maybe he gets the pitch. And then, you know how this is, DJ. You've been coaching long enough. Most of the time, this stuff takes care of itself. There's going to be an injury, something. He'll be back up. So, like I said, they really don't have any. What did you have?
For the first time, I had no clue what to put here. I'm with you, man. I have no idea. Like, there are none. This team is set. If they stay healthy, they're fine. I totally agree that it's probably just a rotation of, the 3 guys you mentioned that are step-in starters there. That if these guys struggle, then you got those 3. So that's probably it. But, I mean, I'd go with these 5, no doubt about it, to start with anyways. And you see how they do. And if they struggle, then you roll out another guy. But I don't necessarily think it's a battle quite yet. I think the lineup, the staff, the bullpen, it's ready to go. Like the 26 guys on this rotation are the 26 guys that deserve to be there. And then we'll piece it in as we go here. So it's crazy. And it's the first time I've had no position battles to even think. I struggled with that, man.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, a lot of these guys got experience last year. Like, I think about that in that bullpen, Nick Nelson. Nick Nelson's a stud, man. I don't know if you've got to see him pitch or not. He's a hard thrower. He had a 4.79 ERA last year, but that was really due to one appearance when they just needed some innings, and he had to go out there and just take one for the team.
Yep.
Other than that, his ERA is probably in the 2s. But Jonathan Weiziga had a great season. I mean, they just really didn't need anything extra. It didn't, you know what I mean? All the spots were settled, so there's really no position battles. I thought when Chirinos, they signed Robinson Chirinos, I thought, he might find his way on the roster, maybe in Higgy's place or something. But, now he's out. So not much to talk about there on the position battle front.
Good point you make about sometimes you got to be careful when you look at overall stats of a player, because 4.74 ERA, one bad start destroys you, and you have you're awesome all year long, and you have one bad outing. I think back to when I was coaching, like my first couple of years ever coaching at Newark High School, and one of my best pitchers ended up with this ERA over 5 for the season, and I'm like, how in the world did he end up with an over 5 ERA? Well, he had one really bad outing where we needed him to pitch and just go out there and, like you said, eat innings. And the wind was blowing out about 50 miles an hour. So every time the ball was hitting the air, nobody could catch it or go over to the fence, just out of sheer luck of it all. And his ERA got inflated, and he was the best pitcher we had, I thought, So it's just crazy how that works. And sometimes it doesn't tell the full story. If you break it down a little bit more, like you're saying, then you see, wow, this guy's really good. And he just had 1 or 2 bad outings a whole year in a 162-game season. I know that was a 60-game season, but it happens in the long seasons too, where these guys just have 1 or 2 bad days and their ERAs get inflated, and it doesn't tell the whole story of how good they really are. So very good point on that, David. So what about prospects, my man? What do you got for prospects?
Well, if you look at the Yankees list, there's going to be some names that you've heard. There's going to be a couple sexy names in there. Everybody likes to talk about their number 1 prospect. Is that who you're going to talk about, DJ?
Yeah.
I'll leave that to you. Okay. I'm going to dig a little deep here. Okay. I think the Yankees have got a problem at catcher. I've talked about it. You Yankee fans who listen to this podcast are probably tired of hearing about it. In 2018, the Yankees drafted catchers in the 1st and 2nd rounds.
Wow.
And I'm going to go on record of this. I am not a fan of the Yankees drafts. Damon Oppenheimer has been in charge of that for years. They have weird picks. I can name all kinds of crazy picks. So this was one of those years. This was weird. So they drafted Josh Sigler and Josh Bro are their names. Right now, Sigler is their 22nd best prospect, according to MLB. And Josh Bro is number 18. Sigler is super athletic. He actually threw 100 miles per hour as a reliever in college.
Wow.
He's a switch hitter, big power, but not very good defensively. He had 37 home runs in junior college. So there's one side of the coin. And then you got Josh Bro on the other side of the coin. He's super great defensively. He actually was a switch pitcher, a la Jesse Naftel.
Oh, yeah.
He could throw in the 80s from both sides. And they say he's Gold Glove caliber on defense. And so those are two names to keep an eye on. Also, last year, their number one pick was also a catcher. He's their number 6 prospect, and that's Austin Wells. And so, obviously, we didn't get to see any of him last year due to the season being canceled, minor league season being canceled. But all these guys hit well in the spring, all 3 of them. And so I'm just praying, DJ, that one of these guys can come up and make it to the show and make some noise. It's probably not going to happen this year, to be honest with you. I think all these guys are a couple years away. But those are 3 catchers to watch out for in the Yankees system.
That's awesome, man. I had no doubt whatsoever that if you left Dominguez alone, you were going to go the catcher route for Sanchez. Because unlike me, where I'm going to cry at the trade deadline, you're probably going to rejoice when they trade Gary Sanchez off for nobody and bring one of these studs up that they got in the minor league system.
I'm rooting for Sanchez. I mean, when he was on 2 years ago, he was the best.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you could swallow his defense, no problem. But it's just gotten to the point where and like I said, I'm a pitcher, so I can't let it go.
Yeah.
Every time Chapman throws, it looks like it rips Sanchez's hand off, like he's not ready for it. Watch him sometime. I'm serious. Go back and watch some of the times he catches Chapman. It's like it surprises him where it's going. It's like, dude, you're a major league catcher. You ought to be able to catch the ball. But anyway, I got to get off the soapbox. Talk about Dominguez, maybe the best prospect in baseball.
So, man, I've had some love affairs with some of these prospects coming up, man. Bobby Witt Jr. is an absolute stud. I mean, there's a lot of guys, Adley Rutschman in Baltimore. You got a lot of guys on the pipeline heading to the show that are a lot of fun. It's a big part of what makes baseball so much fun is you got all these prospects that are so highly touted. That we're just Franco in Tampa Bay. We're waiting on him. Wander there. It's going to be a lot of fun to see him play too. He's the number 1 prospect in baseball. But David, Jason Dominguez, wow, this kid is unbelievable. The number 1 prospect for the Yankees. He's 5'10", 190. That surprises me because he looks like he's 6'3", 230 of solid muscle when you look at him initially. But I guess he's not really overly tall, and he just looks like he's just brick-chested and just completely solid 190. I just an overly stocky build. Not sure how that'll transition to baseball. We'll see. Some of these guys like Gabe Kapler, who kind of pretty much steroided himself too big and couldn't swing a bat anymore. He's not obviously like that in any shape or form, but just looks really big. He's got a 2024 ETA. So this is a long way down the road, David. But I don't think it's
DJ.
Yeah.
Want to be short. They've already seen have you seen the videos of him hitting the spring training?
Yeah.
It's not going to be that long. I'm going to bet end of 22, early 23. I think he's going to be a quick riser.
That makes sense because right now he's 18 years old, so he's probably obviously a little young to come up. But, man, I wouldn't wait too much longer. It's like Bryce Harper, like that guy came right up too. So these guys can do it in the MLB. I think it should happen more often. Kind of like the guys that jump right from high school to the NBA. Why can't these guys jump right from high school to the pros and MLB? I know it's harder. I know we think it's harder because we know hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in the world. But I think he'll be sooner, like you said. He's an outfielder. He's the most hyped and tooled international prospect in a very long time, David. So the Yankees spent $5.1 million, all but $300,000 of their bonus pool money on him. And he's out of the Dominican Republic in 2019, where he was 16 years old when they got him. So they got him very early. He's been compared to Bo Jackson, Mickey Mantle, Mike Trout. I mean, that's saying some things right there. But he's a freak athlete. He really is. And those are freak athletes I just mentioned. He's got 30-30 potential. And if it was me, I'd just kick Brett Gardner to the curb and bring him up right now. So
we'll see, DJ. I'll tell you, I'm excited about that too. The Yankees got some big decisions to make, and we can talk about this in another episode. I know we're running out of time here, but Judge is coming up, getting ready to be a free agent here in just a couple years. Gleyber Torres, you got to decide what you're going to do with him. So Yankees got some decisions to make, and when you got Dominguez beat down the door, it's going to be a little easier to let Judge walk, I think.
Woo! Some tough words there. Let that man go, but I get it, man. This guy is unbelievable, and hopefully coming very soon, because I get excited about prospects like this, man, and the potential that they have. So this will be fun, man. I know you're spoiled with 5 championships, David. So it's got to be a little hard to come up with your favorite all-time memory, but I'm interested to hear what that is, buddy.
This is super hard. I had to really think about this all day today. And I kind of kept coming back to a couple different moments. They both involved my favorite all-time Yankee, which is Tino Martinez. But I'm going to go back to the 1998 World Series. And if you've ever watched any Yankee baseball, you know that the old stadium was definitely a lot louder than the new stadium. I don't know how that works, but the old stadium, when in playoff games it was packed. It used to sit right on the field basically, and I want you to listen to the crowd when he hit the grand slam in Game 5, I believe it was, of the '98 World Series. It was a tie ball game. Mark Langston honestly should have struck him out. He didn't get a call. 3-2 count, bases loaded, and he deposited it in the upper deck. There's nothing better than a lefty swing in Yankee Stadium and watching that ball fly into that upper deck. But that's probably my all-time favorite Yankee moment, man. I definitely went berserk. That was one of the great Yankee teams. I love those teams. I can talk about when Charlie Hayes caught the ball in the World Series. That was the first of my lifetime. Just how awesome that was. So many great memories, man. Those 90s teams, early 2000 teams were my favorite. That's before steroids that we know of anyway really got to New York. You had guys like Paul O'Neill and Derek Jeter and Bernie Williams, and just Scott Brocious, Wade Boggs, Tino Martinez, Mariano Duncan, Jorge Posada. I could keep going. I love those teams. Darryl Strawberry. So I was very spoiled, honestly, to be a Yankee fan during those years. Those were some awesome years. But that's probably my all-time favorite moment. How about you? And if you say when Pedro threw Don Zimmer down, I'm going to kick you square when I see
you. Listen, David, I love Don Zimmer. You got to remember he coached the Cubs for a long time. So I was mad about that too. Yeah, I did not like that one bit, and I hated Pedro for that when he did that too, because that's Popeye, man. That's my guy. So I was ticked. Yeah. I can't do that one. So I'm going to go with no on that. But, man, I just want to piggyback a little bit on what you were talking about there. I remember the 95 World Series when Charlie Hayes caught that ball. We were actually at 96, thank you. We actually had a youth meeting at somebody's house, like a youth activity or whatever you call them. And, like, they had a huge yard, so we play all kinds of games outside. And that game was on then. And it's always funny how I connect everything to baseball. But it was just a great night there. And then seeing that game at the end there, a lot of fun to see that. And then the 98 World Series was actually my first World Series at Temple. So watching that game with a lot of teammates there was a lot of fun. And, man, when you're right, when Tino hit that ball, that place was rocking. And I actually got a chance over COVID when they were showing all the games again, like on all these networks. They were showing old games. I watched that game again. And like you said, man, when he hit that ball, that place absolutely rocked, man. And that stadium was awesome. A great moment, no doubt. I was rooting for Tony Gwynn to get a World Series title. I'm not going to lie to you. But that was really cool. So I can't take that one away from you. And it had to be cool having your favorite player do that as well. So very cool indeed, David. But I'll go ahead and give mine. Mine is when you're a kid and you're learning about baseball from your dad, David, and you cannot tell the history of baseball without Yogi, Babe, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, and more. Even in our era, David, Donnie Baseball, that was the guy. Throughout the 80s for us, like he's the face of the Yankees to me in the 80s, into the early 90s there. You just can't tell the story of baseball without telling the Yankees history. And those guys are idols, man. And if you don't like those players, then you don't really like baseball, because we all grew up as Americans learning about those Yankees and about everything that they did. You watch so much video and so much stories and movies, etc., about the Yankees and about those icons that grew up you grew up idolizing, really, because that's your first memories of baseball. Your dad's telling the stories of these guys. I started out obviously in '86 watching the Cubs like religiously, and that was my team obviously, and so I learned about the Cubs too as well. But you can't like just talk about the Cubs when you're talking baseball. You got to learn the whole game. And when you learn the whole game, you learn Yankees quick. Like you are talking about those guys. You're telling your kids about these guys. I've actually got a plaque over there of Babe Ruth hanging up in my man cave wall with all the guys that I love as far as baseball players. But how can you not have one of those Yankees at least, on your wall that tells the story of baseball and tells the story of your fandom? So by far, my greatest memory is definitely all the idols that have played for those guys and the big time legends and just unbelievable players throughout the history of the game. So David, stadiums, old Yankee Stadium, new Yankee Stadium. Give me your story, buddy.
I have not been to new Yankee Stadium, unfortunately. That's going to happen pretty soon, though. My son and daughter, youngest two, Audrey and Leland, they've been on me real hard about it. So I don't think it'll happen this summer, but that's coming pretty quick. I do have a cool old Yankee Stadium story to tell. I only got to go once. My youth group actually went on a missions trip down there, and it just so happened the night that we had tickets was the debut of Hideki Arabu. And it was super cool just being in the city that day, getting to see all the papers and people talking about it. It honestly is exactly how I imagined it would have been, DJ, to be honest with you. I would love to be in New York during the trade deadline, just the buzz back then that was going on. But got to see Hideki Arabu make his debut. He was awesome. He was a real unknown factor coming over. They called him the Japanese Nolan Ryan. And got to be there as they beat the Tigers. We sat down the third baseline. I may have told this last year, but one of our girls on our trip got hit in the face by a batting practice ball off Derek Jeter's bat. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, a laser right down the left field line. So, but man, it was, I'm not kidding when I say this. For me, it was a magical experience because I kind of got to take in the full effect of the whole thing. Now, if you go to Yankee Stadium, DJ, it's in a pretty terrible part of town. It reminds me of getting off the 4th Street exit in Chattanooga and dropping Yankee Stadium right in the middle of it. It's a pretty rough area of town, so you might want to watch about navigating that, but super awesome experience. I miss the old stadium. I wish they'd have never torn it down. I wish they just would have tried to remodel it or do something different with it, but that's my story about old Yankee Stadium. Now, you've been to the new Yankee Stadium, correct?
That is not correct. But before I get into that, so why did they tear the old one down, David? Did they just give up on it? Because Wrigley's been there a long time too, and they just kept renovating it, and they're doing the right thing. I always wondered why they didn't do the same with. You have any idea why, or was it just a money thing, or?
I have no idea. I think it was George Steinbrenner's dream to kind of build a new stadium, and it's just right across from the old one. So I really don't know the answer to that question, DJ, to be honest with you. That was such a historic place. It was horrible. I mean, I couldn't even believe it. I kept thinking during that whole process that they're going to pull the plug on this and not do it for real, just remodel the other one. Because obviously it'd be cheaper to remodel the other one. But I think, because of the footprint of it and everything, they couldn't do all the things that they have done with the new one. What sucks about the new Yankee Stadium is like right behind the plate and all those close seats, it's so expensive to sit there. So the average fan's not going to be there. The people most of the time sitting there are going to be these Wall Street guys that are there, just to have a good time. They're not going to be rowdy like the old Yankee fans were. And so that's what I really hate about it. But I mean, it's beautiful. The new Yankee Stadium is beautiful, but the aura that was there before, to me, is gone. You don't get those big loud roars you used to get in the old Yankee Stadium and all that. But the Yankees has a bunch of really cool traditions. I know you like the bleacher seats, DJ. There was totally like 2 fights that broke out in the bleacher seats when I went there. They got the bleacher creatures. They call out all the Yankees names until they recognize them. It's pretty cool. One thing about New York Yankee fans, man, they are passionate. And like I said, that's one of the things that's always drawn me to them. But the new Yankee Stadium, I'm going to have to make it pretty soon, make a family trip out of it, I think.
That's awesome, man. And I am completely, and I'm saying this with all sincerity, man. I'm ecstatic that you got to go to the old one before they tore that down, because I think that would have been a hole forever in your life, kind of, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
that you didn't get there. And to be honest with you, David, in September of the last season that they had at old Yankee Stadium, me and Nicole were just we were just sitting in the living room one day, and I'm like, you know what? I said, we have to go to Yankee Stadium before this season is over, or we're going to miss like one of the most legendary stadiums of all time. They're going to tear it down. And so we, no joke, like booked a ticket and flew there, flew and watched the game, and like flew back home like within
Oh
24
my
hours.
goodness.
It was unbelievable, man. It was just me and her, and we just rushed in and out of New York. And we could not figure out the system of the trains like that are there. It's crazy. It's the only time in my life, David, that I've looked at a city and gone, "Oh my goodness, this makes Chicago look like nothing." It's unbelievable how big it is. It's huge. It completely like baffled me how much traffic and how many people. For the first time in my life, I felt that going to a different city. So it was unreal experience. I got to see the old stadium. I don't regret that for 1 minute, going in and out that fast. Obviously, when you go back to New York next time, there's a lot of history stuff I want to see. Make more of a trip out of it. But it was September of the last, so I just had to, on a whim, just get there. And like you said, David, man, normally I'm one of those guys who will wear like, if I'm going to a Phillies game, I don't know if I'd go to a Phillies game in Cubs gear if they were playing the Cubs, but normally I'm that guy who's gonna, they were playing the Blue Jays that day. Normally I'd get a Blue Jays hat, and I'd sit there and I'd, root for the other team at Yankee Stadium. I wasn't that dumb, man. And I knew better because, man, I kid you not, about the sixth, seventh inning of that game, when people are starting to get a little tipsy and those Yankees fans are starting to give it to the Blue Jays fans, I told Nicole, I'm like, watch. I said, these guys are going to get in a fight because they got Blue Jays jerseys on. They're sitting next together. And sure enough, man, they were getting pummeled in the seventh inning by these Yankees fans, just absolutely pummeled. It was entertaining. I'm not going to lie to you, but they took a beating, man. And it sticks with me. And Nicole was laughing the whole time. We were kind of enjoying it, really, to be honest with you. But you don't go into Yankee Stadium wearing other teams' clothing, man. And it was a rowdy house. It was awesome, great experience. Um, didn't get to see as much of old Yankee Stadium as I wanted to, but I definitely got to see a lot of it. And I've not been to the new one yet either. But that's got to be like a New York City to me has got to be like a week. You could stay in New York City for a week and take in a whole bunch of stuff. If I'm going to New York City next time, I'm getting the Yankees and the Mets because I'm just going to cross them both out. And then I'm going to go to the Twin Towers and do a bunch of stuff with that too. So it's going to be a great trip. I'm looking forward to it one day, doing it again. But yeah, man, we both got to get to New Yankee Stadium with our families for sure, and get that one checked off, no doubt. So, all right, David. Well, it's trivia time, buddy.
All right. You want to go first? You want me to go?
So I want to go first because I've got the top 10 Yankees all time in career wins on the mound.
Pettit.
Pettit is number 3.
Whitey Ford.
Number 1.
Ron Guidry.
Number 5.
Hard about this because you got to go back. Like, I'm not going to get any of those guys from the 30s and 40s and all that. That's not going to happen. Let's see here. Let's go with Mike Mussina.
No, but that's a good guess.
Sabathia.
Yep, number 10. That's an interesting Hall of Fame case too, by the way.
Not that interesting. He's in, man. You're not putting CC in?
Oh, I agree.
Hard one. Let's see. What about? I don't think he was there long enough. Catfish Hunter.
Nope.
We're gonna get these old guys, and I don't know any of these old guys.
So I'll give you one clue on one of them, and then I'm gonna have to give you some of these because they're tougher. You got the ones you should have got. So one of them is named after which hand that you pitch with.
Lefty Gomez.
There you go. One of them was a pitching coach forever for the Yankees, I believe, too.
Mel Stottlemyre.
You got it. And then I'm not sure about the last four. I'll give these to you. Red Ruffing is number 2.
Just got that one.
I'm sure you heard of him, actually. Bob Shockey, 6. Herb Pinock is 8. And Waite Hoyt is 9.
I wouldn't have got any of those. I should have got Red Ruffing though. I knew it was one of those older guys that I was going to miss.
That's pretty good though, Dan.
All right.
That was pretty tough. So you did pretty good on the guys you should have got.
I'm not even good with older history on any of these trivia questions. You know, if it's from 85 forward, I might do okay. But I'm gonna give you one. This is a recent one, DJ. I think you'll get this. From 2000 to 2019, 3 Yankee pitchers had at least 1,000 strikeouts. Who were they?
Pettit.
Yep.
I immediately put Clemens into my head, but I'm trying to think if he was there long enough. Clemens pitched for so many teams.
Two stints there, actually.
What's that?
He had 2 stints there, if you'll remember.
Oh, so it's got to be Clemens then. Not Clemens.
I baited you into that one. He did have 2 stints there, though.
Remember when he baited me in.
Comeback, Susan Waldman screaming at the top of her lungs. And you know what's funny, DJ? I love the Yankees announcers. I even love Susan Waldman. I love to listen to them on the radio. Yeah, man. I listen to them on the radio. I think they're the best.
No kidding. Okay. I got you. Man, you got you said 90s and 2000s, right?
From 2000 to 2019.
Okay. I was gonna go Ron Guidry on you, but that's 80s, 90s. So 70s, 80s actually. Let's see. Speaking of C, I don't know. CC Sabathia?
Yep.
Yeah. It's gotta be Sabathia, Pettit. Man, third one. Probably easy, and I'm just missing it though, to be honest with you.
It is.
You like it? Oh, how about David Wells?
Nope. I love me some David Wells though.
Man.
Not my boy. I have his jersey. Y'all made fun of me for it.
Is it Moose?
The Moose.
The Moose. Okay.
Hey, that's 3 Hall of Famers there, DJ. Don't get distracted. Those are 3 Hall of Famers. Pettit's a Hall of Famer. First ballot. He should have been in first ballot. Sabathia is a Hall of Famer. Messina's a Hall of Famer.
2 Hall of Famers. 2.
Whatever.
1 cheater. It's a shame too, because Andy Pettit is a really good dude, but he made the ultimate mistake for the Hall of Fame. So
Whatever.
David, I am completely intrigued by your predicted finish for this team this year. So what are you as a Yankees fan expecting out of your Yankees this year?
I think they're going to make the playoffs and get bounced pretty early. I think they're going to win their division. And I think they're going to get bounced pretty early. They don't have enough pitching. And you compare them against the other contenders in the league, whether it be the White Sox or the Twins, put them in that category. I think they're better than the Angels, though. I'm trying to think what other contending teams would be out west. It'd be the A's, the Angels. Who else? Am I missing anybody? But anyway, I think the Yankees are going to win their division.
Astros.
Astros. Man, the Astros are still good. Losing Framber hurt. But anyway, I think the Yankees, I think they're a playoff team, but I think that's about it personally. What do you think?
First place, AL East, winning an ALDS series and losing in the ALCS like they did last year. I kind of think they could take the same path again this year. I feel the offense just tears it up. I'm a little worried about the pitching when they get that far. So I'm with you, man. I'm totally agreeing with you. 99 games is their projected win total. That seems just about right, to be honest with you. I think they'll get that. I think they'll win the division pretty easily by the Rays, probably by about 3 or 4 games, and then bow out in the ALCS again. just coming up a little short to a team that I will not mention yet because we haven't gone there yet. So, but yeah, I think they're going to have a really good season again. And you know what, man, though, David, they're there to where they spend a lot of money, and if they make some moves,
that's the thing you can't quantify.
Right.
The Yankees, if they have the ability to make whatever move they want, let's be honest about it. If they got a couple or one pitcher, I don't know. We'll just see how it all pans out with health and stuff. But they're going to need another starting pitcher somewhere.
So former teammates, David, we've got 4 of you total that were at Temple. We got Marcus Mortensen.
Gus Hernandez too. I forgot about those 2 guys.
And old Boss as well.
Yeah. Man, we could go on forever about the Boss. Man, what an awesome dude. I completely have lost touch with him. I still talk to Gus and Marcus occasionally through Facebook or whatever. Obviously, they're in the fantasy league, or Marcus is in the fantasy league with us. But the Boss, my all-time favorite memory from Tennessee Temple, involved you and the Boss snipe hunting at the Chickamauga battlefield. Man, what an awesome memory. Boss was so mad. We're going to leave him there. And then probably second favorite memory, I've told this story a couple times, I think, is Boss on Clearwater Beach. Man, he was going for it out there, red as a tomato. So those are 2 great Boss memories right there.
When Boss got left in the Chickamauga battlefield and we came back around to pick him up, he was sitting Indian style in the middle of the road, and he cussed for the first time I've ever heard him cuss in his entire life. He was so angry at everybody for that. And I was like, dude, you can't be mad at me. They did the same thing to me. So that was completely awesome. You guys completely set that up. We had just watched The Sixth Sense. Like, we just had watched that movie. Then you took us to a haunted battlefield, and we snipe hunt in the middle of it. It was awesome. You guys set that up perfectly. I thought it was on ESPN2 on Saturday mornings, which made me completely believe it because I slept in every Saturday morning if I didn't have baseball games. So I had no clue it was on ESPN2 on Saturday morning. So you guys completely set that up, baited me well. Boss completely fell for it. That was a lot of fun, man, and you guys definitely got us. We had no clue. You picked on the Northern boys there, and but yeah, Boss is a huge Yankees fan, and about a year ago he had Facebook call. I don't know how you do that little Facebook call thing on Messenger or whatever, and I missed it, and I've been trying to get a hold back of him since to kind of connect there a little bit. He's a great dude. There's a video of him if you haven't seen it, man. He went roller skating a couple years back. He tripped and fell on his face and like did the safe call after he fell. I've watched that video about 15 times, David, no lie. And I laughed every time watching that. And he just had this saying he would tell you, like, every time he saw you, he'd be like, "What's up, yo?" Like, just completely over the top intense, and just a great guy. And Gus and Marcus as well, awesome dudes from Miami that were Yankees fans as well, big time Yankees fans. And Marcus is a friend of the show. He'll hopefully come on for our Marlins podcast whenever we can get to that again and help us out on that one. And Gus, to be honest with you, I haven't talked to, man, I don't know, been a really, really long time for whatever reason, just not connecting very well with him. So, but yeah, that's our Yankees guys. And obviously you as well, who I thought was a Cubs fan at first and ended up being a Yankees fan. So I've always enjoyed your passion for your team, and you're my go-to guy with the Yankees and what's going on, and to hear your perspective on that. So very cool, man. I'm pretty sure you enjoyed this show, even though we got interrupted about 14 times, but
it was all good. All good.
All right, David. So that's about all my internet can take for the night. We got to sign off of here. It was great, as always, chatting with you, man, and talking some Yankees. ALCS, in my opinion, ALDS, in your opinion, bow outs for the 21-21 season. So that being said, like our YouTube channel, Frenemies, subscribe to it, please, and check out all of our podcasts. We got a few more teams here to do before opening day coming up Thursday, David. It's a national holiday for us, and I'm completely excited about it, buddy.
Well, I can't wait, man.
All right, everybody, have a great night.
Yes.